Okay, so we've all been there, right? Using your favorite face scrub, and you just stop and think, how did this even get made?
It is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Totally. So get ready to ditch the sheet mask and dive headfirst into the world of cosmetics manufacturing. Because today, we're doing a deep dive into the career of a cosmetics production machine operator.
We're going way beyond the makeup counter for this one, straight to the factory floor.
That's right. And our guide for this journey is RoleCatcher's in-depth career guide on this very role. Think of it as your insider's cheat sheet to this whole career path. And we're not just talking about swirling colorful powders here. This is serious business with some seriously cool machinery.
Oh yeah, for sure. This guide really gets into the technical skills involved, but it also shows how this job fits into the creative side of the cosmetics industry.
Exactly. So if you've ever wondered what a cosmetics production machine operator actually does all day, beyond, just pushing buttons, we're going to break it all down today.
We'll be exploring the work environment, the pros and cons, because no job is perfect, and even how you can move up that career ladder.
It's like a behind-the-scenes factory tour, but for your career goals. This deep dive is perfect if you've ever been curious about how your favorite serum goes from just raw ingredients to that perfectly packaged bottle on your shelf.
And what I think is really interesting is that you don't need to be a makeup artist or anything to do well in this role. It's more about attention to detail, liking how things work, and being able to follow instructions really carefully.
Like a master chef, but for luxurious lotions.
Exactly. And the guide does a great job of breaking down those career stages, from entry level all the way up to senior management. So let's get into it. What's a typical day like for a cosmetics production machine operator?
All right, so picture this. It's not a Sephora. It's a busy production floor. And instead of those cute little tester bottles, you're dealing with these massive industrial-sized machines with names most people probably wouldn't even recognize.
Yeah, like homogenizers, emulsifiers, powder presses. Each one has a very specific job to do in creating those beauty products.
Wow, those sound kind of intense. Makes that little tube of mascara seem a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
So what exactly is a cosmetics production machine operator doing with all of this heavy-duty equipment?
Well, you're not just pushing buttons, although I'm sure there are plenty of those. Your day is filled with setting these machines up for different production runs, troubleshooting any problems that come up, and of course, making sure everything's running smoothly to create everything from, well, creamy foundations to sparkly eyeshadows.
Sounds like a lot of responsibility. I mean, imagine something went wrong with the lipstick molding machine.
Oh, for sure. A tiny mistake could mean disaster for a whole batch of product. That's why attention to detail is a must-have for this job. The guide really stresses things like keeping really detailed records, making sure every machine is calibrated correctly, and of course, following all those safety protocols really carefully.
Speaking of safety, it's probably not all pretty pink packaging and fragrant flowers on the factory floor, is it?
You got that right. We're talking potential exposure to chemicals, working with heavy machinery, and needing to be on your feet for long periods. It's definitely a physically demanding job, and you have to be on top of things, safety-wise.
Definitely not a job for the faint of heart. You need to be comfortable in a fast-paced environment, understand how important precision is, and be okay with a bit of noise and hustle. But then on the other hand, you're part of making something tangible, something people use and love every day.
That's it. And that actually brings us to a really interesting point. The cosmetics industry is all about trends and new ideas, right? You're not just learning to operate one machine, you're constantly learning and adapting to new ingredients, sustainable packaging, whatever the latest and greatest thing is in beauty tech.
That's a great point. Think about how the shift from those little plastic microbeads and face washes to natural exfoliants. That needed a whole new set of machines and processes. It's true. The industry itself is like one giant makeover montage, always changing and evolving. So how does a cosmetics production machine operator keep up with all of that?
Well, this guide really stresses how important it is to never stop learning. It talks about looking into online courses, workshops, maybe even certifications to stay up to date on the newest equipment and techniques. It's a field where you can really become a specialist in something.
So you could go from running a basic mixing machine to being the queen of high-speed lipstick molding.
Exactly, or the king of cream to powder foundation emulsification. You could even move up to running a whole production line, managing a team of operators, making sure all those serums get bottled up perfectly.
Those are some serious career goals. But let's be real. No job is all glitz and glam, even we are talking about cosmetics.
Yeah.
What does the guide say about the not-so-fabulous parts of being a cosmetics production machine operator?
You're right. Every job has its downsides. We talked about it being physically demanding before you're on your feet a lot. There might be some heavy lifting. And you're often working in places with really specific temperature and humidity controls, to protect the formulas.
So not exactly a relaxing day at the spa, even though you're surrounded by all the ingredients for one.
Right. And even though the final products are all about creativity and variety, the actual day-to-day work can get kind of repetitive. You're
Mhm.
following very specific formulas and processes, making sure every batch is exactly the same every single day.
I guess there's not a ton of room for freestyling when you're dealing with these precise chemical combinations. Consistency is key.
100%. And speaking of chemicals, that's something else to keep in mind. We love how these products smell and feel, but the ingredients themselves can be strong. The guide really emphasizes how important it is to wear the right protective gear, not just for your skin, but for your lungs too.
Makes sense. Safety first, especially when you're working with those concentrated ingredients. So it sounds like this career path has its ups and downs. There's that chance to specialize, that satisfaction of seeing a product you helped create on store shelves, but there are also the realities of physical demands, repetition, and being around chemicals.
It's all about finding the right balance, weighing the pros and cons to see if it fits with what you want out of a career.
So let's say someone listening is thinking, okay, this actually sounds kind of perfect for me. What does the guide suggest for actually landing a job as a cosmetics production machine operator?
Well, it really pushes the importance of hands-on experience, even if it's not your dream job at first. Think internships, maybe an entry-level production assistant position, anything to get your foot in the door and learn the ropes.
It's like that old saying, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. But in this case, it's work any job you can get to eventually have the job you want.
That's a good way to put it. And networking is huge in this industry. The guide recommends going to trade shows, joining professional organizations for cosmetics manufacturing, even using online platforms like LinkedIn to connect with people already doing the work.
It's all about building those relationships and learning from the pros. Who knows, maybe a quick chat at a trade show could turn into a job offer down the road.
Exactly. Networking can open so many doors. Now, for those who want to move up that career ladder, the guide also talks about getting more training or certifications. It shows employers that you're serious about your work and want to stay ahead of the game.
So it's like leveling up your skills in a video game. The more you learn, the more opportunities you unlock. Now, what about those long-term prospects? Is this a career with staying power?
The guide seems pretty optimistic about that. It says that the need for skilled cosmetics production machine operators should at least stay steady, if not grow, over the next few years.
That's good to hear. But like you said earlier, the cosmetics industry is always changing. What does the guide say about the future of cosmetics production, and how will that affect these machine operators?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The guide talks about this rise in personalized skincare and makeup, products that are tailored to a person's specific needs and preferences.
Oh, like foundation that's an exact match to your skin tone,
Yeah.
or a serum that addresses your own specific skin concerns. That's it.
Mm.
And it seems like that level of personalization would really change the whole game for how cosmetics are made.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine instead of producing like thousands of the exact same lipstick, you have a machine that can create totally unique shades for each customer.
Wow, no, that would be a game changer. It'd be like having your own personal cosmetic chemist, on call all the time.
Hmm.
But wouldn't something that precise require a whole other level of skill from those machine operators?
Oh, totally. It wouldn't just be about running the machine. These operators would have to really understand each ingredient, how they work together, how to tweak these high-tech machines to make those micro batches, those totally personalized formulas.
It's like they'd need to speak the language of, like, beauty and engineering.
Mhm.
This RoleCatcher guide really makes you think about where this career could go.
For sure. And that's what I think is so cool about looking at all these different careers. You really never know what the future holds. But one thing's for sure, in a field like this, being open to new tech and ideas is going to be huge.
That's a great takeaway for anyone thinking about this career path. You got to be adaptable, a quick learner, and really want to stay ahead of the game.
Couldn't agree more. The guide even mentions that some cosmetics companies might start using 3D printing, for packaging, maybe even for the actual products themselves.
Whoa, hold on. 3D printed lipstick. Okay, that officially sounds like futuristic beauty. It sounds like this role is going to keep blending that creative side with all the technical know-how.
Exactly. So if you're someone who likes the idea of being on that cutting edge of beauty, you like figuring out complex machinery, and you get a real kick out of seeing that finished product, a bottle of perfume or a custom foundation coming off the production line, well, then a career as a cosmetics production machine operator might be calling your name.
This has been such an interesting deep dive. We went from how do they make that stuff to uncovering all the skills, the tech, the dedication behind those beauty products we use every day.
It's pretty wild when you think about it. It just goes to show, even something as simple as a tube of mascara has this whole fascinating story behind it.
It really does. So next time you're using your favorite moisturizer or that go-to lipstick, take a second to think about all those cosmetics production machine operators. They're the ones working behind the scenes to make those beauty dreams a reality.
And hey, who knows? Maybe this got someone out there thinking about a whole new career. Remember, all it takes is curiosity and a willingness to learn. You might just find a path you never even knew existed.
So true. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of cosmetics manufacturing. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those beauty questions coming.